Bonchik. I'm the program administrator for Simsbury Better Chance. So welcome on behalf of the program. If you finish, once you get your dinner, if you want to sit down, that would be great. I'm going to move forward quickly. The entire weekend came together with the hard work and planning of a committee that came together all for our alumni and to celebrate the people that support our program. So welcome on behalf of the program. I'm going to give you a few quick reminders. There's a QR code in your program. That QR code associates with a common album that we'll be able to take pictures and it'll be uploaded. So if you can scan the QR code, it's on the back of your album. Everyone in the room can take up to 15 pictures and it will create a community album for us. You can stop by our photo booth and the same kind of thing will happen. To your right, we've got the memorabilia wall that Pat Dryden put together along with some people. So remember to stop by there if you can and take your walk down memory lane. And then the last thing we're going to do is remind you to kind of make connections. Talk to each other, share your social media, share your emails. We want to continue to strengthen the bonds for our program. Everyone in this room holds a special place in Simsbury ABC, and we look forward to the future and seeing what's ahead for our scholars and alumni. I'm going to quickly invite one of our scholars up. He's going to lead us in the pledge, so if you can please welcome David up to the front. He's a Boy Scout as well. Following that, we're going to welcome our state representative and our state senator to come to the front. So David, I think you're in the room somewhere. There he is. He's going to come up and lead us in the pledge. If everybody, the flag is here, if you're comfortable, and if we can ask you to stand for that, please. Thank you.
So, my name is David. I'm from Baltimore, Maryland. I'm a freshman in the house. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If we can, yep, come on up, please. Thank you. State Representative Melissa Osborne is here, as well as State Senator Lisa Seminara. They're going to come up and we're going to invite Bob Pierce, our president, to come forward for the citation. Thank you guys for being here. We appreciate it. Sorry it was a little bit confusing when you're getting in the door. So we're going to have you shout through the mic if you can. Yep, you guys have a part.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. I'm Senator Seminara. I'm so happy to be with you here this evening for this very auspicious occasion. 50 years. I cannot even imagine. The ABC program is so incredible to me that it's all volunteer. It's all done through getting grants and assistance, and it's just an incredible program. It's a program that offers opportunity where maybe there wouldn't have been some, and it can change the trajectory of lives, and that's an awesome gift to receive and an equally awesome gift to give. So all I can say is best of luck for the next 50 years, and I don't know if Brett Bonhorn has something to say?
Sure, I'll just say nobody came here to hear from me tonight, so I just want to say congratulations to the ABC House, to all the incredible students and alumni who have returned tonight, and to the incredible volunteers who have made this program what it is. I look out throughout the floor tonight and I see so many familiar faces. Simsbury has such a great history of volunteerism, and in this organization, there's really been an amazing change in people's lives. So thank you to the volunteers who have given so much to help others, and the fruit is clearly evident by the amazing people who returned here tonight. So congratulations on your 50 years. Thank you for having us, and Senator Seminara will provide a citation on our behalf to the organization.
Yes. So this is an official citation from the General Assembly, and it says, "Be here it known to all that the Connecticut General Assembly offers its sincerest congratulations to Simsbury A Better Chance program in recognition of your 50th anniversary. Thank you for all the work you do as a nonprofit organization, making a difference in the lives of academically talented young men from underserved communities. The work you do is incredible. We look forward to another successful 50 years. Congratulations. And it is signed by Martin Looney, Matt Ritter, and Stephanie Thomas. Congratulations, everyone.
I think we fixed the mic problem, so hopefully you can hear us now. So we're going to invite Bob Pierce up, who's our president and fearless leader, to take us into the beginning of the program. Once he goes through, we're going to have several other speakers. The program is listed in the directory that's in front of you. We're going to do our best to stay on time. If you see me running behind, telling people to move faster, please bear with us. We're on a time schedule for the evening. So welcome again, and here's Bob. Thank you.
Welcome. Is that too much? Is it okay? I have the honor and privilege of being the president of the board of Simsbury Better Chance, probably better known as ABC or the ABC House here in town. I know people often say things like that as the preamble to their talks, but I mean perhaps something slightly different than a typical speech giver. What I mean is that it's unusual in one's life to be given the privilege to do something like this, especially when it's something that pretty much everybody you know thinks it's the right thing to do. So that's really quite an honor. A bit about me and how I got here, which is the least interesting part of my talk. But I came here as after the Navy. I graduated from the Naval Academy in 1969. I spent some time in the Navy, and then I came to and ended up in Connecticut. And I spent the rest of my working career here, and the rest of my life here, for that matter. And I worked sequentially as a nuclear engineer for combustion engineering, and for say around Bavaria, and then Westinghouse right at the end of my career. About a year before I retired, my wife had been taken up a position as the assistant bookkeeper for the program. And in April of that year, she informed me that ABC was having its 40th gala anniversary celebration. And she said that I was going to accompany her. And I made a face and I pouted and I asked if I had to wear a coat and tie, and she said yes, so I went. So we attended the dinner, and two men from the class of 1965 spoke. Marvin Kelly, 75. Class, what did I say? 65. Okay, 65 is when I graduated from high school. Anyway, two men, they were Marvin Kelly and Mark Lepovic, spoke at that 40th gala. And one of them, they spoke about how the program had helped them to succeed in life. But one of them made a particularly stark statement, and that was that he grew up in a family of, I think, 4 or 5 siblings. And he had succeeded in consequence of coming to ABC, but his 4 or 5 siblings were either dead or in jail. And I was so struck by this, I was kind of swept away. I went right up and volunteered, and pretty soon I was the board president. So it's very clear that Linda Schofield, my predecessor, and my wife Trudy were in cahoots with each other. A bit of history about the program, and this is probably a really essential part of what I'm about to say, because it's sort of a small miracle, to be honest with you. In 1972, Liz Stevenson, who was Ray Dry's daughter, came home from college, and she had been told by one of her college roommates that that college roommate's father was on the board of an ABC program. They didn't know quite what it was, but Liz knew enough about it to tell her father that he should start one up here in town. So apparently, Ray spun on his heels, went out and got Dick Brigham and put the program together. And this program, this initial start, there was a working group led by Dick Brigham, but it contained quite a few people, which is really pretty amazing for something of this sort to just suddenly sprout roots and grow shoots as quickly as it did. So I'm going to read the names of the people who were on the initial board of directors, because some of you here will remember their name. We'll have met them and we'll have known them during your time here. So the board was, like I said, it was led by Dick Brigham, and it included Judy Wayan, Joan Brigham, Felicia Bruder, Susan Coase, Stacy Gallagher, Dorothy Mason, Larry Savage, Nina Singleton, Joe Spada, Jim Wade, Jewel Gutman, Manny Sarakas, Linda Lewis, and John Polino. More about John momentarily. John Muckey, Howard Perry, and David Payne. That's really pretty amazing when you think about it. Ray Dry was, I think, a pretty remarkable guy all by himself. He was a World War II vet. He fought in Iwo Jima and at Okinawa, and was part of the occupation of Japan after the war. And then he went off and got a PhD and worked as a numbers guy, statistician, downtown Hartford for almost 40 years. He was a member of the Board of Ed in town here for quite a while, and also chaired the Board of Ed for quite a while as well. So if you think about it, it's really pretty remarkable. In a little less than a year after obtaining approvals from the Simsbury Board of Education, the Town Zoning Board, and obtaining initial funding, 8 students arrived at Simsbury in 1973 at the first house located at 85 Woodland Street. Jim Lombard, a biology teacher at Simsbury High, and his wife were the first resident directors. Just imagine, put yourself in the position of these people, this band of people, 50 years ago. Do you think any of them had it in their mind that this would be happening here today? Couldn't possibly be. They just acted in good faith, and this is what happens when you act in good faith and with good intentions. 2 years later, the house previously owned by Dr. John Cannon, who I gather was something of a fixture here in town, located at 835 Hot Meadow Street, was purchased by the program, and the program moved to that location, which is where we continue today. The house was first built in 1812, and I'm going to mention a name, which if you're a member of the Simsbury community, you will know. Ariel Ensign of Ensign Bickford was the owner of the house and the person who was responsible for building it. For those of you who may not be quite clear about what we do, I'm guessing most of you are, but I'll go ahead and say a few words about that, just to give credit to the people who make this program work. We're a college preparatory program for young men of color. We competitively select young men from 8th grades all over the country. I don't think it used to be that way. It was mostly regional people that we selected, but now we've expanded that to a national selection process. We provide them with room, board, and supervision at our house on Hot Meadow Street, and we see them through 4 years of Simsbury High School. The young men that we select are African American, Native American, Hispanic, African, or Asian origin. Our ultimate goal is to increase the number of people of color with college degrees in the country, for them to go out after college and to assume the positions of leadership in their communities and industries and towns. I say competitive because usually we have something over 30 applicants whose resumes and transcripts we review. We select from that number 2, sometimes 3 people. So it's really quite competitive when you think about it. We judge these applicants on test results, academic performance, recommendations, family commitment, an especially important part of our program. And we interview the prospective student and his family. And finally, we look for something called grit in our students. And I'll speak more about that in a moment. A word about the key players. Doug Nielsen is a business teacher at the high school here, and he's been our academic advisor. We've been calling him the tutor for the last little while, but the academic advisor for our students for the last 10 years. Doug oversees the academics of each student, collaborating with each student and their academic advisor to set goals, supervise a minimum of 3 hours of study each night, Sunday through Thursday evenings, and obtain resources when a student is struggling. Apart from his formal duties, Doug has been a mentor, an advocate, and friend to many of the students he has had in his charge. Doug has done anything and everything he could to secure the success of our students, and our program would not be where it is today without Doug and his admirable 10 years of service. Doug, where are you?
Stay standing.
Thanks for coming up. He's retiring this year from being a teacher and from being the academic advisor at the house, and returning to Finland to be with his wife and friends. I said Finland, that's right. And we should all wish him fair winds and following seas. Don't worry, I'm not contagious. Sherry and Jay Eklund are the resident directors, or put another way, the house parents and guardians. They supervise the care of these young men. I've never met a couple as devoted as they are to the success, safety, and happiness of our students. We have 3 cooks in the house. They are Joan Robichaud and her daughter Laura, and then Stephanie Beloga. Don't tell anybody, especially not my wife, but I love coming to dinner at the ABC house. Oh, hi.
I love you, though.
She said, I love you going to the ABC house. Chrissy Bonchek is the program coordinator, who manages the myriad of details that are needed in such an operation. Chrissy is the very definition of productive energy, foresight, organization, and commitment. And as she says every single day, she loves the ABC program. John Helmkamp is the program bookkeeper who pays the bills and keeps the books. In addition to being one of the nicest men I've ever met, no matter how hard I try to screw up the finances here at the ABC program, John detects it and fixes it. So there's just no way I'm going to fall off that road, apparently. He's been just an incredible guy to work with. Many volunteers support our program, as you probably know, and it's too numerous to name them, so I won't attempt to do that. But they do take care of a lot of things that need taken care of, including the house, the property, fixing stuff inside the house, providing meals on weekends, tutoring, and so forth. The board of directors is comprised of 19 citizens of Simsbury and surrounding towns. They oversee the program and its workings. This is a working board, not the kind you see on TV where people fly in on private jets and make decisions and collect their checks and take off. This is not one of those boards. This is a working board where everybody contributes. Each of them does something to advance the success of our students in between board meetings that we have each month. Each student also has a host family, and I've noticed that quite a number of people have hooked up with their host families here this evening, the alumni. These are relationships which often last the rest of people's lives. And what host families do is they make a 4-year commitment to have our students at their home a weekend a month and a Wednesday a month for dinner. And then oftentimes, honestly, they do a lot more. Many host families have taken our students on vacation with them, and they go to their sporting events or other events that they're involved in and so forth. So it's really quite remarkable. Each student also has an academic advisor, another adult in their lives, which is a person who kind of focuses on them academically. They're not tutors per se. They don't try to teach the kids. They try to work with them on motivation and study skills, things of this sort, and act as a general counselor. We have 87 alumni from our program. Quite a few of whom are here this evening. We rely on these alumni quite a bit. Some contribute in terms of fundraising. Some come here for annual dinners and speak about the personal meaning of their years here. Many maintain strong relationships with their classmates and have, for example, been in wedding parties of their classmates as they go on to after they finish college. Tonight we're going to hear from Eddie Ramos and Javed Lewis, and they're going to hopefully tell you the same story I'm telling you. Could be exciting. I mentioned the quality of grit earlier, and I want to just revisit that for a moment. The candidates that we evaluate have demonstrated academic potential for sure, and they have demonstrated ambition, and their parents have demonstrated a commitment for them to come here. But beyond that, these fellows are sent here when they're 14 years old, usually. They typically grow a foot or more while they're with us, so they start out being quite short and they end up being taller than the adults that they're confronted with every day. They come from towns around the country that are probably different from Simsbury. Most of the students, they come to a strange house away from family and friends, and they live with many rules in the house that their friends in town probably don't have to contend with. These are some of the reasons why when we interview these candidates, we look for the green shoots of persistence, ambition, confidence, and determination, which are sort of the ingredients of grit. Without grit, it's really hard to know how they would make it through this rather grueling 4 years here in Simsbury ABC. I spoke of the generosity of Simsbury. This is constantly a shock to me. When I first came to be the board president, I thought fundraising, it's going to be a big deal, it's always going to be a nail-biting experience, this kind of thing. Yes, fundraising is a big deal, but Simsbury has provided that funding every year that I've been involved in the program without a hitch and with tremendous generosity. We're in the fundraising season now. About 75% of our money comes from individuals in town or in the surrounding towns, or from civic and religious and other organizations in town. So in the presence of such a large audience, I would be irresponsible if I didn't ask you to donate to our programs. I see Trudy's writing a check right now, so I'm going to hold that up in a minute here. Our students today, I'm just about done, so bear with me. Our students today are seniors Muna Kapoor from New Jersey, Bryson Scott Erdine from Connecticut, juniors Nanapoko Borachi from Massachusetts, Ethan Vasquez from California, sophomore Emmanuel Coffey from New York, and freshman David Chakwu and Manny from Maryland, and Manny Aziba from California. We're especially proud of we're proud of all of these young men, and I should tell you, This will be a little bit shocking perhaps, but the last time I got a report for quarter 3, the average in the house was 3.9. So, Muna and Bryson, where are you? Did they skip? There they are. Muna, come up, please. These are our graduating seniors. In the fall, Muna will be matriculated at Trinity College and Bryson at the College of Holy Cross, where each has earned what did you say, Bryson?
Let's go.
Let's go. Get done with the speech, or get done with ABC, or get done with Simsbury High School. Anyway, they've each earned a substantial scholarship towards tuition fees, room, and board. Congratulations to both of them. Since 1973, more than 300 Simsbury citizens have served on the board of directors of Simsbury ABC. Dozens of people have served on resident staff positions. 87 families have served as host families in town. We've graduated 87 students. And of these 87 students, over 90% have completed college in 4 years. This is particularly impressive if you're aware of the national statistics on college graduation. Okay? The national statistics are that 60% of people graduate in 6 years from college in the national college population. So, once again, another shot. In parting, just let me say that next to marrying my wife and having my 2 daughters, some scotch. This is the finest thing I've ever done. We talk about changing the lives of our students and our alumni, but this has changed my life. If you want to see, I welcome you to visit us. If you're interested, please visit us on our website. We've just redone it, and you can see all of our students and what we're up to. And I welcome you to join, any one of you to join us in participating more closely with the program in the decades to come, which I think we're going to be fine doing that. And then finally, I just want to take an opportunity to introduce John Polino, who has a few words he wants to say.
One quick note, Bryson, I have some restaurant recommendations for Worcester, Massachusetts. I'm John Polino. I was on the steering committee way back when as a student representative on the board when I first formed. And it was just something we decided to do. It was something that we knew needed to be done that was successful elsewhere. And now we had to try to pull it off in Simsbury. My father, Lou, and my mother, Linda, were host families. My father, the banker, somehow got out of being the bookkeeper and treasurer and passed that on to Mom, which she did for a number of years. It is past her bedtime right now, but she sends everybody her love and thanks for everything that's happened with ABC in all these times. Here's an echo. My mother says that after her family, ABC is the most important thing she's ever done in her life. Not that we knew, not that we knew we were doing going in there. Dick Brigham's living room is not as large as that list seemed to make you think it might be. It was a lot of legwork. We sort of sat back and said, okay, we've got to convince Jim and Maggie Lombard to live in a house with almost a dozen of their own students 24/7. It was a little bit more defined by the time Angela got there, probably a little bit easier. We had to find a house, and then we realized we were probably doubling the minority population of the town of Simsbury. So we did our best, held our breath. The issues that came up were simply, how do we get a house? How do we get the money? Are we going to be able to do this through zoning? Is the Board of Education okay with it? It was all logistical details. At no point was it about who was coming to Simsbury. And we stepped back and looked and said, we picked the right place to do this and the right bunch of people to do it for. It was all logistical. We held our breath. We hoped for the best, and the best happened. There are two sayings I always keep in mind when I think about the ABC experience. Well, there's a few more. I know I learned more chemistry while being a tutor at the house than I ever learned while going to school. So thank everybody who was there. But one of the sayings I remember is, I don't mind being a pebble if I'm part of an avalanche. You know, you're right, we had no idea what the scope was going to be in 1972 and 73. But now that we see that it's generations, I see Phil's kids, I see Chuck's kids, I watch Gerald Baldwin Jr. play in the first national football championship as a graduate student. I will emphasize student.
And he won.
And he won, the Ohio State University. And the other is that one of the best things you can do in life is plant trees under whose shade you will never sit. We want this to be another 50 years. We'd love it if it was no longer necessary, but as long as it is, I know the people of Simsbury will support it. And for those of us who were there to kick it off, we're very grateful. I'm impressed by the work being done by these students. And now as a teacher myself, I realize how much really has to get done to get all this done. How to work with a house full of students, their teachers, the host families, and everything. It really is a monumental effort. And I can't thank all the students enough because they did the real hard work involved in getting this done. I know that Linda thanks you for everlasting friendships and a big extended family over these 50 years. And again, much gratitude and thanks to everybody who's kept this going, and let's keep it going for another 50 and beyond. Thank you all so much.
Good evening. My name is Eddie Ramos, and I'm here to represent the alumni here tonight. And I'm sorry I'm speaking before your dinner, but I'll try to make this as quick as possible. So, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take you back to the year 1982. Okay? Prince was telling us to party like it's 1999. Kool and the gang, who was from Jersey City, which is where I was coming from, was telling us to get down on it. I was blasting Soul Sonic Force's Planet Rock on my Walkman on the ride up, wondering what Planet Simsbury had in store for me. I quite accidentally wound up in Simsbury. I applied to the ABC program because somebody found me. I was actually at my high school in Jersey City, tutoring someone after school, and somebody came along and said, Eddie, there's something going on in the room right next to you that I think you should know about. It's about a program called ABC, and I think you should learn about it. So I wound up going over to the room, loved what I was hearing, came back home, told my parents about it. We applied, and I was initially accepted as a freshman to a public school program in Appleton, Wisconsin. And my mom, being the typical Latina mom, said, no way are you going out there that far. So I wound up, my parents and I decided, you know, let's be patient. And a year passed, and we reapplied to the program, and I was accepted in October of my sophomore year to come to Simsbury. And in typical, again, Latino mom fashion, we took the drive up here to see whether or not this was where my new home was going to be, and my mom sat down with your mom, Linda Polino, and she said to her, woman to woman, I need to have certainty that you are going to take care of my child. And she gave her that certainty, and the deal was written, and off to Simsbury I went. So once I got to Simsbury, my first week was chaotic, to say the least. I started in October as a sophomore, and everyone already had their books, their homerooms, their class assignments, and their cliques. This was both inside my own ABC house and also in the high school. Do you realize how terrifying that is for a 14-year-old kid? I was quickly missing my daily broadcasts of Yankee baseball, my mom's arroz con pollo, and playing wiffle ball with my friends, Hector, Angel, Peter, and Heber, otherwise known in the street as Loco, Shadow, Cobra, and Diesel. But soon things worked themselves out, and I increasingly became more comfortable. My daily routines included grabbing some Carnation instant breakfast or a Pop-Tart or two in the morning, grabbing the bus, popping into the school library early in the morning to quickly read the New York Times, going to my classes, blowing spitballs at my friends during lunch, going to my part-time job across the street from the house at the Leader store, for those of you who can remember, playing some hoops, and eventually settling in for study hours at night. The weekends were filled with many activities, going to the West Barnes movie theater, playing hoops at Tooten Hills, which had 8-foot-tall basketball rims so we could dunk, organizing fundraising car washes, experiencing the thrill of riding the Black Widow roller coaster at Riverside Amusement Park in Springfield, hanging out with my new Simsbury rock and roll friends who took me to go see Joan Jett, The Police, Rush, and U2. And of course, sharing precious time with our host families. I want to acknowledge the presence of my host family here tonight, the Silversteins, my host mom, Bill, and my host brother, Phil Silverstein. What was wonderful about spending time with them, first of all, is that they're a Jewish family, and I had the opportunity for the first time in my life to really experience their religion, and they were never bashful about inviting me into all of their ceremonies and their rituals, and always treating me as a member of the family. They converted me to, I think it was Phil, this is your fault, he converted me to be a fan of the Celtics basketball team as well. And what's more important is that this relationship has continued through the years. My host parents have been to my wedding, and when I had a 30-year career on Wall Street, at one point I started a mutual fund that I was managing, and the first call I got from someone who was not my family was from my host dad, who wanted to put some money into the mutual fund. So most importantly, what I remember the most about Simsbury ABC is my graduation day of all things. I woke up that morning crying tears of joy, and I cried all day. Why? I thought about sacrifices that my mom and dad made. My dad, with an 8th grade education, come to Puerto Rico and driving trucks for 30 years to place a roof over our heads. My mom, who grew up in a coastal town, so poor in Puerto Rico that she had to fish for her meals every day. If she did not catch anything that day, she was not going to eat. My mom, who also worked 2 jobs, took some courses at night and somehow figured out how to have food on our table every night and clean school uniforms laid out for my 2 brothers and I in the morning. I thought about how my dad used to get paid in cash in an envelope. We all remember those days. He and my mom used to put the cash in one pile on the kitchen table and the bills in another pile. They would always first pay our Catholic school tuition from the bills pile, and then decide what other bills would be paid based on the remaining cash. I cried during the graduation ceremony thinking about the incredible amount of pressure that I had had on my shoulders for 3 years at Simsbury. Pressure not to let anyone down. I felt like I was graduating for all those generations of hard workers in my family that never got this far. I felt I was graduating for those friends of mine in the old neighborhood, like Lescoe and Shadow, who chose a different path. I felt like I was graduating for my next door neighbor, Doña Rivera, back home, who never let me get away to play outside without first asking me if I had done my homework first. And I also felt like I was graduating for my grandma, who somehow always slipped me a $20 bill into my hands every time I was taking the bus back to Simsbury. All of those honors were on me. Every one of my ABC brothers here can tell a very, very similar story. The same story. You know who else had their eyes on me? My older brothers. So much so that one of them was inspired on this very graduation day back in 1985 to look into my parents' eyes and promise them that he too would go to college and get a degree. And 6 years later, he was able to fulfill his promise. So, one of my two messages here tonight is for my ABC brothers. If you are like me, somehow, somewhere, somebody told you that you can't take the elevator to the top. But you also know that every tall building has steps. And you started climbing and ascending. And you rose, you fought, you persevered, you believed in yourself. And you know what else you did? You graduated from Simsbury High School to pursue a better life for you and your family and all of your neighbors back home. And that is a very noble cause. Please give yourselves a round of applause. Well, listen, my brothers, as we leave here tonight, your homework is not done. Okay? I have an assignment for you. Over the course of the next 24 hours, think of 5 people in your life who are most responsible for you being here today. Maybe 1 or 2 of them are at your table tonight. It might be a teacher, a coach, a relative, your pastor. It might be your own Doña Rivera back home who is here with you in spirit. They love you too. 5 people. Here's your homework. Go back and thank them. Go back and thank them. But today's celebration is not only your celebration, but also a family celebration, a community celebration, a Simsbury celebration that will be remembered for a long time to come. They are talking about you today. They're talking about you today. Be that ripple in the ocean that multiplies this celebration, make it last forever in someone else's memory as well. They too will be eternally grateful that you are thanking them for being one of the greatest influences in your life. My other message here tonight is for the Simsbury ABC community, which time and again has taken in children from all over the U.S. and indeed kids from all over the world who are in search of a better chance. I've served on many nonprofit boards, and I know 50 years is a very long time for any community-sponsored program, especially when you think of the many challenges that come with the territory. Leadership changes, sometimes lumpy finances, and shifting priorities. But what also comes with the territory is purpose, sharing, intention, and the firm belief that you are making a positive difference in people's lives. What could be more important than this? For Simsbury, I want to repeat a message that I shared 10 years ago when we were celebrating the 40th anniversary. And that is, we, as ABC Brothers, also made your communities better. It truly was and is a two-way relationship. We live in an age where the word diversity now and its principles and goals are subtly being challenged. In my experience with Simsbury, and I was also at the Radnor ABC program where I was a resident tutor and a board member, and at the national level, where I'm a member of the Alumni Founders Circle, our students boost your community's creativity and innovation because these kids bring a wide range of experiences and perspectives than what you already have. They enrich personal experiences. By being exposed to distinct, unique cultures and ways of life, we can all broaden our horizons and gain a greater appreciation for the world around us. And in the process, we strengthen society when we learn, reduce prejudices and discrimination, and create a more cohesive society. Your children have noticed too, and your children are a part of this program today. This is what you've chosen to bring into your community. At the end of the day, we all benefit. So life is not about how strong you start, but how you finish, as they say. I know that our support for Simsbury and Simsbury's support of us does not end after we left the ABC program. This is why we are all here tonight. Congratulations to Simsbury ABC. Good luck for the next 50 years. And for my ABC brothers, in the words of Cardi B, okay? Go out there, make some money moves, and kick some ass.
Thank you so much, Eddie. I have the pleasure of also knowing his host family personally. We happen to belong to the same synagogue. We find that all the time when there are these connections, whenever you're talking in a room in Simsbury, if you mention Simsbury ABC, somebody knows somebody who's their host family on the board of directors. It's interwoven into our town. It's just an amazing thing. Incumbent president, who's a current member of our board, and he's going to chat for a minute, and then we'll move into our next alumni speaker. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Gives me immense pleasure and pride to acknowledge the stakeholders that make Simsbury ABC the success it is today. So when I do call out your group, please take the effort to stand, and we'll go through the groups as stated in the program. So I want to first of all call out our alumni. If you could please stand. I'd like to give you a round of applause. Next, our past and present board presidents, board members, resident directors, and resident tutors. Next, our past and present host families, academic advisors, college counselors, and program staff. Next, our past and present Simsbury Board of Selectmen, Simsbury Board of Education, and Simsbury High School staff. And this group is not on the program, but a big thanks to our celebration planning committee, who have worked tirelessly to put this as well as the entire weekend program together. I'm going to call out each by name. Chrissy Bonchik, Sherry Eklund, Stan Dryden. Liz Capel. Ann Crowder. And Linda Schofield is not here. She regrets not being here, but she's in Mexico because there was a family get-together planned a year ago. But she sends her spirits for this celebration. Thank you. Next, we're going to call Javed to the stand.
Hi everybody. 7:40 just crept up on me. I was still writing my speech. I don't normally write stuff when I do things that I enjoy like this, but I did write some notes down today just to make sure I won't forget anything. So let's get to the notes. Okay, so first things first. My name is Javed Lewis. I graduated from the Simsbury ABC program in 1998. Feels like very old for me to say that, but I feel very young inside. I can't explain it. And earlier we played the guys. For those of you who were there, we played them in basketball. I don't remember who won, but it was a very spirited game. It's a very spirited game. We had a great time. So a little bit about me. So I came to the Simsbury ABC program when I was a sophomore. I was coming from New Jersey. My family was originally from St. Lucia in the West Indies. I moved to America when I was 4 years old. When we moved to America, moved to a town called East Orange, New Jersey. My mom had family there. We moved there, and we started our life. At the time, we were like, great, we're in America, it's very nice. Looking back, East Orange is kind of a rough town, if you may know it, but it's, you know, it's funny perspective, right? The things that you see differently as you get older. But now, you know, we started there, right? So I was going to school in East Orange, and you know, I was at the top of my class, and I was consistently like the #1 and #2 student. And I remember I had a guidance counselor come to me, and she was like, "Hey, you should apply to this program." And I was never one to shy away from taking adventures and new opportunities. So I talked to my mom. My mom was supportive, which is a really big part. So to all the moms and dads in the room, like, it is a big deal to be able to let your child go away at a young age and send them into someone else's hands. So give a shout out and an applause for all the parents. So, you know, and I did have other people in my family after I graduated, obviously. I was like, hey, this program changed my life. I wouldn't be who I was today if it wasn't for the ABC program. And I would try to get other people that I knew and say, hey, you need to really send your kid to this. Luckily, my uncle, he actually has 2 daughters right now, both in the ABC program, both going to school in New York City. One goes to the top female private high school in Manhattan. I can't remember the name, but it costs a fortune. And they're going there. She'll be traveling to Japan this summer. And the ABC program just continues to impact my life and my family in a lot of different ways. So again, it is super important that all of the, you know, I'm going to talk about the board and everyone in the town, but I also wanted to just make sure, like, it's a big commitment for parents to send their kids to a program like this, and I think it's really important that we acknowledge the parents in the room. So, all right, so I'm just going down my notes. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not used to having a speech that I've written. I feel like I won an award, and I'm like trying to get all the things. So 1998, the year that I graduated. So what was happening in 98? Naturally, what do? I consulted ChatGPT. I was like, ChatGPT, what was going on in 98? Because I don't remember. I'm getting old. So 98, Will Smith, Getting Jiggy With It, was one of the #1 songs. So like, I'm really dating myself. There was a small company that was also founded in 98, Google. So believe it or not, when we were in school, there was no Google. The most advanced thing that you could have as a student was a TI-82 calculator. For those of you who know what that is, right? This was like a MacBook. It was a $150 calculator. You felt like you could solve the world's problems when you had this TI-82 in your backpack. So what else was happening? Let's see. That's it. I was also at the ABC program, right? So that's where my journey began. So after I graduated from ABC, the ABC program, where I met, and I was in the house with some great folks who are still my friends and still in the house. So I could see Dwayne Geis in the back, who Dwayne was one of my bus mates, and we would see who could play their music. We would have a competition on whose boombox was the loudest. Like we would play our music, he would play a song, and I would play a different song, and we would sit right in front of each other and be like, who can better hear like this song? This is the level we were. Rishi Gopal, who was here when I was here, so Rishi is a dear friend of mine. I'm actually the godfather of one of Rishi's kids. We continue to be friends till this day. He graduated the year before me and has since gone on and done great things. He's at Harvard right now, continuing his education and making us proud. So many, great folks that, that I met along the way that I continue to be friends with in the ABC program. That, every year that I come back, it really warms my heart. So those are along my memories. Walking through the house today and just going in the den. The den is very, some of the older guys are laughing because like back in the days, the den to me was like, how could I describe it? It was like the hottest club in town. And as I look at Angela Harris, who's one of the people who was heavily involved in the board at the time when I was here. And Angela would have to come in there and be like, hey, what are you guys doing in the den? And it was one of the few spaces in the house where we could like close the door and we were like hang in the den. And, we'd watch TV and read books in there mainly, but that was it. Nothing else happened. But now to see the den as a computer room, it's great to see the house continue to evolve. And so that was really exciting for me. All right, so fast forward. I want to talk a little bit about just the cultural impact of the program. And I want to also salute to Ann Prado, who I'm trying to find. Where is she? There she is. If everybody could just give a round of applause to Ann Prado. I don't know why Ann decided that she wanted me to speak today. I think it was not, she makes a lot of good decisions. This is probably not one, right? Why me, right? That's what I thought. There was been so many great graduates, and as I heard the number, was it 87? Was it 87 I heard? 87 graduates of the program. And as I thought about all of the great things that everyone has done, I mentioned Rishi, Dwayne is here, Mark Godoy in the back. And again, I'm just calling out the guys who were here during my years. So many faces that I know who've done great things. Walter Kinsey, Antoine Harris, people that some of you may know and have helped. As I thought about those years, I wanted to do some calculations. And I wanted to talk a little bit about Ann Prado and her impact. And I know you were wondering earlier why I came up to you. I was like, hey, what year did you start helping the program? Turns out it was 1991. All right, so let's see. So doing some loose calculations, I can't find my math here. Jeez. Oh no, I can't find it. Give me 1 second, guys. Is the suspense building? Oh no, I can't find it. I've lost it. But I did some I'm gonna find it. Give me 1 second. No. 30 more seconds. Give me 30 more seconds. 30 more seconds. This is why I like to freestyle my speeches and not really, and not found it. Perfect. All right. So 87 graduates. So I was thinking to myself as I sat down, I'm like, what's like the tangible, like when you think about 87 graduates, 87 people who graduate from the program, who go on to be young working men, like what is the impact of that? Turns out ChatGPT was able to help me in the moments I was sitting down. So if ChatGPT is correct, assuming that, I won't get into the income, but assuming an average American income, $1.5 million a year in taxes paid by ABC graduates, which is $63 million. So Ann is the $63 million woman, and that's what she generated for the economy. So, but in all seriousness, no, I really want to call out folks like Ann, like Angela, who really kept in contact for the program. I say this every time I get an opportunity to come up here and speak, but you know, to think that you guys have impacted my life. And now I see students here who are much younger and you guys are still impacting their life. It means so much. Again, I can't say it enough, like the program changed my life. You know, when I came here, I was a much different person. Coming to Simsbury, the warmth of the community, you know, having the host family, being able to have somewhere to go on Thursdays and weekends, and learning about a different culture and all of those things, all of the guys that I talked to, we brought that with us into the next phase of our life. So when we went on and we decided that, you know, we wanted to go to college, it was just a little easier for us to get along with folks in college. And when we decided we wanted to go to corporate America, it was just a little easier for us to understand how we could fit in the corporate settings. And you know, even down to college applications, you know, when I talk to my friends and I talk to them about their experience applying for college, it was very different for me, and I realized that, you know, I was fortunate enough to have a tutor, to have someone who sat down with us and went over the importance of studying and having hours, and those are practices that I keep with me today. So fast forward today, you know, again, the program continues to bless me. So a little bit about me after I sort of graduated, and I went on, I work in social media now. So again, this whole field, which wasn't here when I graduated, now I've been fortunate enough to make a career out of it. And I mentioned Google was founded in '98. I eventually went on to start working in social media and lead some social media work. I went on to work at Twitter, a bunch of different social media agencies in Manhattan. Most recently, I started at Ticketmaster, a company that you all know and love. How about those Taylor Swift tickets? You know, so, and Friday, actually, I resigned. I was just telling Rishi this. I resigned from Ticketmaster on Friday before I came here, and I'll start in 2 weeks at Mars, where I'll run their social media and take over for brands like Skittles and M&M's and brands we love. So, you know, I'm happy, I'm lucky, and I know that, you know, a lot of the great things that I've done and that have happened to me were directly result in me participating in this program and me meeting a lot of the great people that are involved in the program. So I just want to thank everyone who has anything to do with the program. I want to thank Eddie for giving a better speech to me. You know, I should have went first looking back at it. And I want to thank all the alumni. I want more of us to come out next time. I want more of us to get together more often. And to the new students who are here, I hope that when we come, we're not just like the old guys, but I hope that you guys feel like, you know, we're something that you can look at and be proud of. And you know that when you graduate, you go into a network of students where you can hit us up, we have your back, and that's what this is all about, right? It's about networking, it's about the power of working together and what people can do when they come together. So thank you everyone for allowing me to speak, and have a good night.
I don't know about anybody else, but I'm loving the speeches. They're not bad. I'm just going to share that. I'm also going to tell you that I am Team Scholar, and they did win the basketball game today. Just to let you know. Sorry, alumni, I'm all for you as well. So just to let you know, I'm going to take a moment. We're going to do a few things. We're going to have 2 students step up in just a second. They're going to introduce a montage, and then while the montage is playing, we're going to open the dessert bar. Ben and Jerry's is here and is catering a sundae bar for us, and we also have some cake that's in the back for you. So once our 2 students finish up, you can just start watching it. They put a lot of work into the montage, so please take a few minutes. So I'm going to invite our junior scholar, Ethan Vasquez, who's with us from California, and he's also he's representing all the scholars who worked so hard. Nana is here and did lots as well. He's also bringing up another student of him. Her name is Jenna Dobrow. She is an Eagle Scout candidate, and this is some of the work that she did toward her Eagle Scout project. So I'm going to let them talk to you about it for a moment. Thank you.
I'm gonna make this quick. We just worked together and made a video of just different pictures from over the years. The ABC House to some select music from the different decades. So enjoy.
So my name is Sherry, and I'm one of the resident directors with my husband Jay. And I wanted to tell you how I got involved with ABC just briefly. I have a very short closing, so don't worry. But first of all, you get a card in the mail, and you check off a box that say you want to help. And then all of a sudden, you're invited to a meeting, a board meeting, and you're there, and everybody says, oh, how about Sherry, do you want to join the board? Okay, and everybody raises their hand and they say aye, and you're in. And then you're standing next to the president at that time, Bob, and he's like, so I have an idea, and maybe you want to be the fundraising chair. And so, next thing you know, the fundraising chair. And I would agree with Bob in that this is one of the finest things I've ever done. And I would also like to say I've worked with the finest people that I've ever worked with, Bob being one of them. He's just great to work with. And Doug, wherever he is also, we live with Doug, and he's just been great. He was there when we started as resident directors and has been extremely helpful, supportive, as Bob has as well. So that's how we started in the program. So happy to be here. Shout out to the whole committee. This event, couldn't have happened with everyone. It's been great. We wanted to really thank each and every one of you for coming, all the alumni. We know some of you traveled long distances to attend. I think the farthest was Doug's wife, Kiersey, who actually came from Finland by the way of Alaska. It's a story. And he also has his good friend, Hanu here. So we really, really appreciate all of your time. The program really continues to thrive, as you see, with the support of all of us together. I would like to introduce and brag about the current scholars. I know, guys, usually we are telling you things like pick up your clothes, put away your dishes, make sure you have your sneakers for practice. But tonight we wanted to say we are so, so proud of you. And as already mentioned, the current scholars in the last quarter, their average GPA was a 3.9. And we're just so crazy happy about that. And also, the two seniors enrolled in college, which they'll mention in a minute by themselves. They are involved in so many activities, and they're going to mention some, but I'll just briefly tell them. Cross country, track, volleyball, basketball, Model UN, debate, DECA, Students of Color Alliance, swimming, scouts, a summer travel program called CIEE, where Ethan went to Spain last year, 2 students going to Germany this year. So lots and lots of activities. Many of them are on National Honor Societies, yes, plural societies, so that's also great. Now I'm going to have them introduce themselves and give something that they're involved in at SHS and tell something that they enjoy at ABC.
Yeah, I couldn't be any happier to start off this train of students we got here. This was not on my 2024 bingo card, I'm gonna be honest. I didn't exactly plan anything at home. As a matter of fact, I was kind of late on my way here. That's not a good example, I should be saying, as a senior, but yeah. If you haven't heard my name enough or seen my face enough times, either on Facebook or whatever, my name is Muna Mwafor, graduating class of 2024 and going to be matriculated into Trinity College, going in for a major of computer science and degree reading. Woo! And just to keep it brief, also participated at a time in chess club and Trojan Ambassadors Club, but ultimately dropped them. But still partaking in, because I'll be doing it in college, fencing and volleyball. Captain of the fencing team since sophomore year, varsity volleyballer, if that's the term you want to use, since sophomore year as well. And also did Husky on the side. Also had the opportunity of going to nationals with Husky, which was even more fun. Probably the best competition I've received overall while I was at Simsbury High School. And to be honest, I don't think any of these chances would have came to me if I wasn't at this program. Just the chance to get involved with the community, find my own passions while under a safe space, even though I'm like 3 hours, two and a half hours away from home. So like, I'd like to thank you guys for, first of all, recognizing me, recognizing my own talent as a freshman. I guess there's not much to see, but accepting me and allowing me to grow under this space. And I would definitely not forget this unless I'm like old. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Bryson Stockton. I'm also a senior at the house, and I will be going to College of the Holy Cross in Worcester, Mass. My major right now is undecided. I don't know. It could be anything. But yeah, stuff I got involved with at SHS was volleyball, Hope for the Homeless with Mr. Nielsen. He ran it. I tried out for basketball, did not make the team, but I did Y-ball. That was also very good. And you know, the thing that I took away from this program, or the thing I most like about this program, was getting to meet my best friends for life. And yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Hi everybody, I'm Nadapopo Fuyata Bwachi. I'm from Massachusetts and I'm currently a junior. I'd just like to thank everybody for coming out here. It's a pleasure to be a student here at Simsbury High School, be a part of the ABC program. I'm grateful for everything that everybody in the committee always have done for us, Mr. Pierce, everybody, the whole board. So I'd just like to say thank you to the whole community. Within the school, I'm involved with basketball. I'm in varsity basketball. I'm a track captain. I manage field hockey. I'm in National Business Honor Society, DECA, Art National Honor Society, the Historian National Art Honor Society, and a couple other things like yearbook. I'm a photographer, and more of that, but we'd be here forever, so I'm kind of short. But yeah, once again, thank you for everything that you've all done for us, and we're very appreciative. Thank you.
Hola a todos. Don't worry, it's going to be in English. So, my name is Ethan. Like Nana, I'm one of the juniors at the Simsbury ABC House. I don't know where I'm going to go for college, so I'm still a junior, obviously. Some of the extracurriculars that I do sports. I do all the running sports, cross country, indoor track, and outdoor track. I do a lot of extracurricular activities, including chess club and other activities, and I'm part of a multitude of honor societies, working in the National Technical Honor Society and NHS. I'm actually going to be the vice president next year for NHS. In the Science Honor Society, Spanish National Honor Society, and one more, Mu Alpha Theta. And one thing I enjoy most about this program is just the community around it, whether it's the board and like the opportunities you get from being here, whether it's working with the board members, like Mr. Pierce helping me apply for the Spain trip last summer, or playing chess with James during our free time, and also the school in general, being able to work with the staff like Dr. Koo in the STEM lab, as well as other teachers who I really enjoy, like Mr. Nielsen back there, and working with the students, including the ABC House students here. They've been incredible students and incredible friends that I'll never forget the chance that I've had to improve my life due to this program. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Emmanuel Coffey, and I'm the only sophomore. So I like to think of myself as like different from everyone else. I'm like the only sophomore. And some things I'm doing in Simsbury, I'm involved with basketball on the team, and I recently picked up track this year. I'm also in the Students of Color Alliance, and also looking to pick up more things as they come. And one thing I really like about this program is like, I got to get out of the area I was in, see different things. It was very welcoming, and like, I got a lot of opportunities to do things that I probably wouldn't have done if I was still in the Bronx. So I was just really appreciative of it. And yeah, it's been fun here. Also like to thank like everybody that was like helping me, like my mom, my dad, family, everyone here. And also Mr. Nielsen, who's retiring. He taught me a lot about business and like how to manage your money and all that, and like how to be mature and stuff like that. And these guys, it's fun living in the house with these guys. There was never a dull moment. Always laughing and joking and playing basketball with these guys. And we're also a really competitive house, so I like competitiveness and it's fun too. And yeah, that's it.
So, as you must already know, I'm David, the freshman of the house. And after high school, some of the things I partake in are DECA Business Club, Students of Color Alliance. I do fencing and volleyball. And one thing I could say I really like about the high school is definitely the people here. Even more than just the high school, the community as well. It's just a great place to be. Very welcoming and friendly. And coming in as a freshman, 14-year-old obviously, as I have people have said already, in a completely new place, it can be nervous. So it's just nice how welcoming and friendly the community is. And about the house, one thing just really blows me away is how good the people are. Really. I couldn't even begin to explain it. It's just so wonderful. But in reality, everyone here is just really nice, and overall, it's a good place to be.
Hello, my name is Manny Zia, and I'm the true freshman of the ABC House. So when I came, I was really nervous. I was like, this is like a 1 in a million chance. Like, there's no way that a lot of people graduate from this program. But I came, I saw the way the house was, the way the house was structured, the way there was like board members, people that actually cared about your education and your future. Now I actually became a lot calmer. I think I adapted better into the program, and then I started doing better in my classes, and I realized I can actually thrive in this environment. So with this environment came a lot of opportunities, like when they gave a club packet with all the clubs in it. It was like 3 pages long. I was like blown away, I was shocked. And I didn't know what to choose from. And I had to like start somewhere. So I chose Hope for the Homeless, Student of Color Alliance, which I'm in now. I also chose debate and Model UN, and then currently I'm playing volleyball as a middle hitter, so that's going well. Another thing I like about the ABC House in general is I guess the people at the school. When I came in, it was a different environment. The school structure was different, and I actually thought that I might, flunk out of the school because I wasn't I thought I wouldn't do well in this environment, even though I was doing really good in school anyway. I was just really nervous. But as soon as I came in, I saw the teachers, and they were actually willing to help and sit down and talk to you about what you need to fix. That's what really just drove me to be better in school and have a higher GPA. So yeah, thank you.
So we are sending you home with all of those great, good thoughts and how great the program is, and just remember, together we're making a difference. That's it.
Thank you, everyone. Again, if you can remember to clean up your space, I'll just share one thing. I don't know if Bryson remembers this, but on the first day of our year this year, he's a senior, I welcomed him back. I said, last year, and he's like, no, this is my home. And then just said, and his mom was next to him, and I was like, Bryson, your mom. So it's just such a pleasure for all of you to be here to witness these amazing young men and to just support our program. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a good night. To the parents that joined us as well, and alumni. We're going to ask the alumni that are here to come forward for a picture, please, and we can just kind of get our scholars as well, before you go anywhere, a picture as well. So yep, we'll come up. Good night, everyone. Thank you so much for making this a special evening. Our scholar families as well that came from far away, we're just thrilled that you're here. Thank you, everyone.
Funding for Simsbury Community Television is provided in part by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.